up to date. Things are looking really good heading to Boston for Game 6. Steve Kerr joins us here on 95.7 The Game, brought to you by Xfinity. Stay connected, protected, and entertained. Coach, as always, thanks for stopping on by. Things are looking pretty good. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys doing tonight?
We are doing fantastic. Look, I want to ask you, as a former player, a guy who busted his butt in this league, not as the Warriors head coach, not as someone who benefits from his good game, but knowing just what you know about how hard it is to be well regarded in this league. How happy are you that Andrew Wiggins is finally getting some nationwide respect put on his name, player to player?
Yeah, it's that's been really gratifying just to see Wiggs this year get recognized. And to see him grow, to see how much better he's gotten, how much he's impacting winning, and then to see how much his peers have recognized that, and he's going to the All-Star game, and now obviously performing so well in the postseason and having a great game last night. Wiggs has just been fantastic, and it's wonderful to see him get that recognition.
Want to ask you a question about you, which I know you always enjoy. In the 22 playoff series that you've coached, is this the most mentally and emotionally taxing of them all? If so, why? And if not, what series would that be?
Yeah, I don't. I don't really think in those terms. Obviously, the ones that stand out are the most difficult ones. The losing to Cleveland in 16, beating OKC the round before in 16. Those were incredibly taxing series for very different reasons. And then, of course, Toronto, losing a few years ago, but more importantly, having two players suffer devastating injuries. That was really brutal series. So, they're all different. Every series is different, and we've been lucky to experience a lot of them and to make a lot of deep runs. And they're all really, really challenging. But ultimately, that's what it's about. You want to test yourself against the best, and we've been allowed to do that quite a bit over the years.
It's been amazing watching it come together, and it's got to be so satisfying because you guys have been playing, an awful lot of chess, not checkers, to get back to this moment. And, however many games you guys have played, maybe 20 playoff games so far already in this run here, it's really the only amount of time Andrew Wiggins has been on the Golden State Warriors, if you really think about it. I mean, because unless it's Steph, Clay, and Draymond all together healthy playing, you really don't feel the Golden State Warriors. And they didn't really get to come together as a group, as four guys, to learn how to play with each other with any regularity until the playoffs started this year. So in an odd way, not bad for a guy you've only played 20 games with, right?
Yeah, I think that's been maybe the most interesting thing about this year. We obviously got off to a great start, but we were thinking that by the time Clay came back, sometime in January, that we would be whole and we'd have several months to prepare for the playoffs, and it never happened. With all the injuries to Draymond, to Steph. So Game 1 against Denver really felt like the first game all year where we kind of had our whole group together. And so these playoffs have been largely about finding ourselves and improving our team, as we've gone. And that's what's been really satisfying to this point, is that there has been a lot of growth, and we are getting better, game after game, series after series.
It's crazy. I don't think you have played your best basketball game yet. So that bodes pretty well. Things are looking good as you guys are in Boston already. I believe you're there already as we are talking to you right now, getting ready for Thursday night. Draymond Green, obviously, his trip to Boston was mixed reviews, shall we say, but it really feels like he got back on his horse and was the Draymond you need him to be just last night. How impressed were you in the turnaround, or is there not nearly the turnaround that it's being made to be?
I think everything has been kind of overhyped because that's what happens in the finals. There's just so much coverage. But the game 4, he played really well, and down the stretch, he made huge plays. He ended up with, near double-digit assists and rebounds and a bunch of steals. His defensive force the last 2 games has just been just devastating, and is always the key to our team on the defensive side of things. So Draymond's been great. There's always going to be a lot of chatter, good and bad, and you just sort of roll with it. And he's done a good job of that. He's responded well to all that stuff, and he's playing a big role for us.
Do you listen to the Draymond Green podcast?
I do not.
Because you're going to get this podcast, Steve. You're going to get this podcast.
I got to get this one?
No, I'm saying that's what Draymond told the world. You're going to get this podcast, whether you want it or not, and you will listen. It's great personal marketing. It truly is. On this podcast, which I'm glad you don't listen to, because maybe this is the first time you're hearing it, here's what Draymond had to say about the relationship he has with you, and that the two of you are more alike than maybe either of you would actually want to admit.
Relationships take time to grow. And I think when you meet someone that is just like you, those usually take a little more time to grow than someone that's the opposite of you, because opposites attract. When you meet someone that's the opposite, it's like, boom, Steph and Steve, they're total opposites. Click right away. Clay and Steph, you click right away. Total opposites. When you run into someone that's so much like yourself, it's not as easy to click with that until you get the understanding, like, man, I'm the same way. I'm just like that. You understand it from a different place, and then you view it differently.
I don't think I would have ever described Draymond Green and Steve Kerr cut from the same cloth, but obviously from a competitive standpoint, the two of you guys are supreme competitors. Outside of that, how are you similar as far as Draymond's evaluation goes?
No, I think Draymond's dead on. I mean, where we are similar is we are kind of maniacal in our competitiveness, and we have butted heads over the years based on that competition, that level of competition, and I think our relationship has never been better. I think Draymond's right. It takes time to build relationships, especially in a super competitive environment when you got a couple of hotheads like us, and in such a competitive league and world that we live in. So we've got to know each other so well. We trust each other. I lean on him for advice during the games. He leans on me. We sort of collaborate, figure things out together, and it's been wonderful. You can't win without a guy like that, and I like the challenge that he brings to me every day to make sure I'm on top of my game, and I try to do the same thing for him.
Toward that end, do you think you have been tactically a bit different than you normally are in this series because of what Boston brings? Or do you feel no difference between what you were doing now and what you might have been doing 3 years ago or 6 years ago or maybe even just 2 series ago?
You're talking about me personally, and
just how you're coaching the game now, just tactically.
Yeah, I think every year is different. Every season, every team is unique, and you really have to adapt as you go. I think I've learned a lot in my 8 years about coaching. I think I've gotten better in a lot of ways, and learned some things that I have to make sure I'm doing. So I think this team has been really flexible, and we've had a lot of guys play a lot of different roles, and so I've had to be patient and try to help that process along without getting frustrated. And it's been very important, I think, for the players to feel that confidence from me as we kind of navigate this path and try to find the best version of ourselves. Whereas 5 years ago we we kind of had a set formula. We knew who we were for several years in a row, and there was probably less volatility and less to think about for our coaching staff.
Steve Kerr, head coach of the Golden State Warriors, here on 95.7 The Game. Which is less likely to happen? Steph Curry missing 9 threes again in a game, or the Boston Celtics hitting 9 consecutive threes again in a game?
I think, did they make 9 in a row last night?
I think they did at one point. It was nuts.
Impressive. Did they do that in game 1, too? I think it felt like they did in game 1 in that fourth quarter. I don't know if it was 9.
I think it was. It was at least 7. So
yeah. I mean, they're a really good shooting team. They shoot it from all 5 spots when Horford is playing the 5. Obviously, Steph has never. This is the first time I think he's ever not made a 3 in a playoff game, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So that's extremely unlikely. I like the fact that we won that game with the rest of the group really stepping up. Wiggins was amazing. Gary Payton, Clay hit huge shots. I thought Draymond's defense set a tone right from the beginning. Steph had really carried us early in the series, and it's really important for us to have a game like that where the rest of the guys could kind of pick Steph up. And I think our best game is still out there. I think we can put together a game where we get great shots and we play great defense, but that's the challenge, and that's what it's probably going to take to beat Boston because they're that good.
Does it make sense to you, the way these games have gone, that none has been decided by less than double digits, and that's the first time in 34 years that's been true?
I think that's a little deceiving. Games 1 and 4 were both really close, and 5 actually. Mid fourth quarter, you're talking about a 1-point game in all 3 of those games, and then things just broke loose at the end. So I guess it's strange that there hasn't been any game that's gone down to the wire, but I do think that's a little misleading because in 3 of those games they were pretty tight for most of the way.
We've asked you if you could explain to us your third quarter success throughout the years, and I don't know if we've ever been able to come up or you've offered us one true answer that maybe explains it. I'm guessing that you did everything you normally do to have a successful third quarter in last night's game, but that didn't happen. We saw the Celtics come out and just play great early on there. Was there anything different about that third quarter? Did you feel something ominous early on in the third quarter that made you think maybe this isn't the normal third quarter that we have?
Well, I think when Jaylen Brown stole the ball at midcourt on our opening possession of the quarter, he had just made 2 free throws. And then he steals the pass on our first play, gets a couple more free throws. You could feel their force. You could feel they had picked up their defense. Tatum then knocks down a couple threes, and all of a sudden it's a 2-point game, and everything shifts. But that's how quickly things can change in the NBA, and that's why if you're up 20 with 4 minutes left and everybody's saying, well, why are those guys still out there? It's like because somebody can go on a 10-0 run in 40 seconds, and that's the way it works in the NBA. So I thought Boston was great, and they were the team that played for longer stretches in that third quarter with more force, and that's what got them back in the game.
That said, was the first half last night your best half of basketball in this series?
It was our best defense for sure. I didn't think our offense was great. I thought we could have played much better offensively, but our defense was on point. We were flying around. We were defending without fouling. Did a great job of not reaching and not giving them second chance opportunities. So It was an excellent defensive effort. But like I said, I think we can play better. I think we can put a better two-way game together by improving our offense. So that's the challenge.
Steph Curry has been predicted by Draymond to possibly be livid Steph Curry for Game 6. What does livid Steph Curry even look like? I mean, we've seen him throw his mouthpiece once. We've seen him get a little bit angry. We've seen him call a T. I don't know if we've seen livid Steph Curry. I honestly think he's more like a Jedi who's going to like center himself and have a little more calming. The only time I expect to see an awful lot of emotion from Steph Curry would either be dancing on the parquet or back at Chase Center. Like, that's when I think we're going to see him ultra emotional next. He just is a breathing out the third eyelid kind of a character, isn't he?
Well, I think what Draymond is referring to is his Steph's competitiveness. You know, doesn't when he says he's going to be livid, I think he means inside.
Right.
Steph is going to be livid that, you know, he went 0 for 9 from 3, and he's such a competitor that he's going to want to come out there and light it up. So, you know, that was Draymond's point. I know from experience that, you know, when Steph has a tough shooting night, he bounces back quickly. You know, he wants to right the ship, and we'll have a good day of practice tomorrow and a chance for him to get back out on the floor and then you know, a shoot around on Thursday. So a lot of rest and a lot of shots before that game starts, and he'll be ready to go.
Live it or no, do you see any sort of mood changes in him at all after he's come off a game like last night where he didn't shoot very well, or is that imperceptible at this point?
Yeah, it's imperceptible. You know it's inside him, but he always projects a calm regardless.
You and Ime Udoka both played under Greg Popovich. Have you talked to Pop at all during the finals? Do you think Udoka's reached out to Pop at all during the finals?
You know, Ime and I were on the Olympic staff together too. He was not on the front of the bench, but he was you know, part of the staff in Tokyo, and so was Will Hardy, his number one assistant here in Boston, another Pop guy. So we're all really good friends, and have been through a lot together. Pop texted all of us before the series started and said, I am now neutral, so I'll be rooting for everybody, but you know, I know he's going to be, you know, thrilled for whoever wins and you know, despondent for whoever loses, and that's genuine Pop for sure.
And either way, he'll have a big glass of wine to cope with his despondency and joy.
Big chewy red. Speaking of vintages, have you heard Jordan Poole's buzzer beater in Italian, Steve?
I have not. I'd love to, though.
Di Wiggins, un secondo tiro di Poole! Tiro da 3 di Jordan! Poole! Il fulmine colpisce 2 volte!
Not bad.
Fantastic.
Have you heard it in Fitzgerald?
3 seconds to work with. Wiggins has it at 2, at 1. Poole 3. Backed it in! He backed it in!
Hey, we hope that you guys take this puppy home. Obviously, it's been an extraordinary NBA Finals, evenly matched, well contested. We've seen both teams at their best. We've seen both teams let go of the rope. It's been fantastic sports. I mean, I don't know how much you can feel people enjoying an NBA Finals when you're in it, but this has been so enjoyable. We think you're doing a remarkable job, and obviously there is one more big win, and then the party can officially begin. We hope you find it in Game 6. If not, we'll see you in Game 7. Steve, congratulations on all that's happened so far, and we know that you want to bring this home, so we hope that you do. Thank you so much for joining us.
All right. Thanks for having me, guys. We'll see you later.
Really appreciate it. Steve Kerr, you can tell that voice, little Shotsky, he's been screaming.